courtroom trembles as a 15-year-old genius faces a racist cop and a biased judge. Can Jacob save his father from a web of lies? You won't believe the twist that silences the room. Don't miss what happens next. Watch now. Get your hands off him, or I'll bury you in court. Jacob's voice cracked like a whip through the Atlanta precinct, his 15-year-old frame trembling with fury. Officer Connor, a 35-year-old cop with a buzz cut and a sneer, froze mid-shove, his grip still on Floyd's collar. Floyd, Jacob's 52-year-old father, slumped against the wall, his mute lips quivering, blood trickling from a cut above his eye. The air reeked of sweat and bleach, the fluorescent lights buzzing like a swarm of wasps. It was August 2017, and Atlanta was a tinderbox. Protests over police brutality had flared all summer, and the news cycled stories of black men targeted by cops. Floyd, a grizzled Uber driver and former steelworker, had been hauled in 2 nights ago after a traffic stop gone wrong. The charges were a gut punch, assaulting an officer, drug possession, and intent to distribute. Jacob knew it was a lie. Connor, a known hothead with a trail of brutality complaints, had beaten Floyd during a routine stop, claiming he'd found drugs that never materialized. The dash cam malfunctioned, Connor said, smirking. Jacob hadn't slept since the arrest. His bedroom, a cramped corner of their West End apartment, was strewn with library books on Georgia law and crumpled notes. He'd always been a prodigy, debate team star, the kid who could dismantle arguments like a surgeon. But this wasn't a tournament. This was his father, the man who'd taught him to fish in the Chattahoochee, whose silent smiles carried more weight than words. Floyd's muteness, from a factory injury in '92, made him a punching bag for men like Connor. Jacob wasn't letting that stand. "You can't save him, kid," Connor growled, shoving Floyd into a chair behind the precinct's glass partition. The other cops snickered, their radios crackling. Jacob's pulse thundered, but his mind was a razor. "You violated Georgia Code 16523.1, battery with excessive force," he shot back, his voice low but lethal. "I'm filing with Internal Affairs tonight." Connor's eyes flickered with unease, his smirk slipping. The room went quiet, the other officers exchanging glances. Jacob was a kid, but he was dangerous. The next morning, Jacob stood outside the Fulton County Courthouse, a red brick fortress under a blistering sun. His thrift store suit hung loose, the tie knotted too tight. Floyd's arraignment was in an hour, and Jacob clutched a handwritten motion, 12 pages, cited like a law review article, to represent his father. He'd found the loophole at 3 a.m. Georgia Code 15.11.7 allowed minors to advocate for family in court with judicial approval. It was a long shot, but Jacob didn't trust the public defender, a harried man who'd mispronounced Floyd's name. Inside, the courtroom was a pressure cooker. Judge Cole, 51, loomed at the bench, his white hair gleaming under the lights, his face carved with disdain. Cole was infamous last year. He'd sentenced a black teen to 5 years for a minor theft, calling him a walking crime wave. Jacob's stomach knotted, but he thought of Floyd's hands, calloused from years of labor, now cuffed like a criminal's. He couldn't fail. "All rise," the bailiff barked. Floyd, in a faded orange jumpsuit, shuffled to the defendant's table, his eyes locking onto Jacob's with a desperate pride. Connor sat in the gallery, his uniform crisp, his glare boring into Jacob. The prosecutor, Ms. Harris, a young woman with a nervous tic, began reading the charges. Jacob caught every lie: no drugs, no witnesses, just Connor's word against a mute black man. Cole interrupted, his voice dripping venom. "Who's the boy in the cheap suit?" Jacob stepped forward, heart slamming. "Jacob Wilson, Your Honor. I'm here to represent my father." The gallery, reporters, activists, locals, gasped. Cole's lip curled. "This isn't a game, son. Sit down." Jacob didn't budge. "Under Georgia Code 15.11.7, I have the right prim to speak for my father, pending your approval. My motion's on your desk." The room held its breath. Harris dropped her pen. Cole's eyes narrowed to slits, but Jacob didn't blink. He'd studied Cole's rulings. The judge was a bully, but he feared public embarrassment. "You've got 3 minutes," Cole snapped. "Impress me, or you're out." Jacob's voice rang out, steady despite the sweat on his palms. "My father's innocent. Officer Connor fabricated these charges to cover his own brutality. The police report's a mess. No evidence, no witnesses, just contradictions. I'm here to fight for justice, not to waste your time." Cole leaned back, his face unreadable. After an agonizing pause, he muttered, "Proceed, but you're on thin ice." The arraignment unfolded like a chess match. Harris stumbled through the charges, her voice faltering under Jacob's stare. When it was his turn, Jacob laid out his motion, citing cases from memory: Miranda v. Arizona, Terry v. Ohio, like a veteran litigator. The gallery buzzed, a reporter scribbled furiously. Connor's jaw clenched, his fingers twitching. Jacob felt the room tilt in his favor, but he knew it was fleeting. As Harris listed the evidence, a vague police report, no drugs, no video, Jacob interjected, "Objection, Your Honor. The prosecution's relying on hearsay. Connor's report says my father resisted, but he's mute and was cuffed. Where's the proof?" Cole's gavel hovered, his face reddening. "Sustained," he growled, shooting Harris a look. The crowd murmured, sensing blood in the water. The hearing ended with Floyd's trial set for 10 days away, a rushed schedule. Jacob knew to bury the case. As the gavel slammed, Connor stormed past, hissing. "You're dead, kid." Jacob met his eyes, unflinching. "We'll see who's dead in court." Floyd reached for Jacob's hand, his grip tight, his eyes wet with unspoken gratitude. Jacob squeezed back, but his mind was already racing. Connor and Cole were wolves, and he was in their den. Outside, the courthouse steps swarmed with reporters. A microphone jabbed toward Jacob. "Kid, you taking on the system?" He paused, then said, "I'm taking on liars." The crowd roared. Jacob's phone buzzed. Marla, his aunt, texting, "Be careful. They'll come for you." He ignored it. For Floyd, he'd burn the system down. Jacob shoved through the courthouse crowd, reporters shouting his name. "Kid, are you crazy taking on a cop?" one yelled. His thrift store suit clung to his skin, soaked from the Atlanta heat. Jacob, 15, glared back. "I am not crazy, I am right." Behind him, Floyd, his father, was led to a jail van. Orange jumpsuit stark against the fading light. Jacob's throat burned. 10 days until the trial, and time was a noose. At their West End apartment, Jacob slumped onto the sagging couch. Law notes scattered like shrapnel. Marla, his aunt, stood in her nurse scrubs, eyes heavy from a 16-hour shift. "Jacob, you are poking a snake," she whispered. "Connor has backup. Cops, lawyers, maybe Cole. They will destroy you." Jacob stared at the cracked ceiling, seeing Floyd's bruised face from the precinct. "Let them try," he said. But her words sank deep. This was not just a case. It was war. Morning came, and Jacob moved fast. He needed proof to shred Connor's lies. He biked to the corner store where Floyd was arrested, a grimy spot with a buzzing soda machine. The clerk, Reggie, leaned on the counter. "Saw your dad that night," he said. "Bought a water, left quiet." Then Connor's cruiser pulled up, slammed him hard. No reason. Jacob's heart raced. "Any drugs?" Reggie laughed. "Not a chance. Connor's a liar." Jacob scribbled it down, but Reggie's face tightened. "Kid, I got a past. If I talk, cops will ruin me." Jacob nodded, hiding his anger. Truth was slipping away. School was a battlefield. Classmates stared, some calling him hero, others trouble. His debate coach, Ms. Thompson, Caught him after class. You are on every news channel, she said, voice low. Watch yourself. Men like Connor fight dirty. At lunch, his friend Darius jogged up. Bro, you are viral, but Connor's asking about you. Says you are done. Jacob forced a smile. He will see who is done, but fear coiled in his gut, sharp and cold. That night, Jacob visited Floyd in jail. The visiting room was a gray tomb, split by thick glass. Floyd's face, swollen from Connor's fists, softened when he saw Jacob. Through the phone, Jacob outlined his plan. Get Reggie to testify. File a motion to toss Connor's report. Dig for police records. Floyd's eyes, silent but fierce, held pride and terror. As Jacob left, a guard smirked. Your boy's making enemies. Floyd. Hope he's tough. Jacob's fists balled. He was tough. He had to be. The storm broke 3 days later. Jacob was biking home, law books heavy in his bag, when a dark SUV screeched in front of him on MLK Drive. 2 men stepped out, badges flashing. Jacob Wilson? One said, voice like gravel. Back off Connor's case. Now, Jacob's pulse hammered, but he thought of Floyd, cuffed and bleeding. I am not backing off, he said. The other cop, face scarred, laughed. Your call, kid. Keep pushing. You will fall. They sped off, leaving Jacob frozen, breath ragged. The threat fueled him. Jacob filed a request for Connor's police records, hands shaking as he mailed it. The reply came too quick. No records available. A cover-up, plain as day. He met Aisha, an activist with Justice Now, at a diner. She had seen his courthouse fight on TV. You are brave, she said, but Connor's shielded, Cole's tied to the police union. You need real evidence. She handed him a USB drive. Traffic cam from the arrest? It is not perfect, but it is a start. Jacob raced home, jamming the drive into his laptop. The video was blurry but brutal. Connor dragged Floyd from his car, slammed him onto the hood, searched for minutes. No drugs, no fight, just Floyd's hands up, pleading. Jacob's eyes burned with tears and rage. This could change everything, but it was not enough. The clip cut off before the arrest, and Cole could call it vague. Jacob needed more, and time was bleeding out. The case's shadow grew. Marla's boss cut her shifts, muttering about her famous nephew. At school, someone scrawled traitor on Jacob's locker. Cop cars prowled their block, headlights slicing the dark. Jacob's dreams turned to nightmares. Floyd in chains, Connor's laugh echoing, but he kept moving. Every slammed door made him fiercer. Then the twist hit. On day 8, Reggie called, voice shaking. I am done, Jacob. Cops hit my store. Said they will shut me down if I testify. I cannot risk it. Jacob's phone slipped, fury choking him. Connor was choking off every lead, silencing witnesses, hiding truth. But Jacob was not alone. Aisha's group rallied outside the courthouse, shouting Floyd's name. News vans rolled in, and Free Floyd signs spread online. The city was watching, and the heat was rising. The night before the pre-trial hearing, Jacob sat with Marla, papers everywhere. He would push the traffic cam video and call Connor's partner, Officer Diaz, who had stayed quiet. Marla's voice broke. You are your father's son, Jacob. Brave, stubborn, but if you lose, I cannot lose you too. Jacob hugged her, his heart a drum. I will not lose, he said. Not for Dad. In bed, clutching the USB drive, Jacob felt the fight's weight. Connor and Cole were giants, their power deep and dark. But the video was a blade, and the rally was fire. They thought he was a kid they could scare. They were wrong. Jacob Wilson was 15, fearless, and ready to strike. Jacob stood in the Fulton County Courthouse hallway, his palms slick with sweat. The pretrial hearing was minutes away, and the weight of the fight pressed hard. His thrift store suit felt tighter, the air thick with tension. Floyd's trial was 2 days off, and today would decide what evidence could stand. The traffic cam video, clutched on a USB drive in his pocket, was his best shot, but it was fragile. Connor and Cole were circling, and Jacob, 15, felt the walls closing in. Inside their West End apartment last night, Jacob had rehearsed his arguments until dawn. Marla watched, her face etched with worry. "You are burning out," she said. "This system eats kids like you." Jacob shook his head. "I am not a kid today. I am Floyd's voice." Marla hugged him, her hands trembling. He felt her fear, but pushed it down. Floyd's silent eyes in the jail visiting room drove him forward. He could not break. The courtroom doors swung open. Jacob stepped in. Notes gripped tight. Judge Cole sat at the bench, his white hair stark, his stare cold as steel. Connor, in a crisp uniform, sat beside the prosecutor, Ms. Harris, whose eyes darted nervously. Floyd, in his orange jumpsuit, sat at the defendant's table, his bruised face steady but strained. The gallery was packed, reporters, activists from Justice Now, locals drawn by the Free Floyd buzz. Aisha nodded from the back, her presence a quiet anchor. Cole banged his gavel. "Let us get this over with," he snapped. "Mr. Wilson, your motions better be worth my time." Jacob stood, heart pounding, but voice clear. "Your Honor, I move to admit traffic camera footage from the night of my father's arrest. It shows Officer Connor using excessive force, contradicting his report." Harris jumped up. "Objection. The video lacks context. No audio. No chain of custody." Jacob fired back. "The video is public record, sourced from Atlanta's traffic grid. It shows my father compliant. No drugs, no resistance." Cole's eyes narrowed, but he said, "I will review it. Submit the drive." Jacob handed the USB to the bailiff, his stomach churning. The video was strong but incomplete, ending before the arrest's final moments. He needed more. His second motion was riskier. "Your Honor, I request to subpoena Officer Diaz, Connor's partner, during the stop. He witnessed the incident and can clarify inconsistencies." Harris paled. "Diaz is unavailable." She stammered. Jacob pressed. "Unavailable or unwilling? He was there. His testimony is material." Cole leaned forward, his voice low. "You are pushing, boy. I will allow the subpoena, but Diaz better show." Jacob nodded, hiding his relief. A crack was forming. The hearing shifted to Connor's report. Jacob attacked its flaws: no drug evidence, vague timelines, no witnesses. "This report is a story, not facts." He said, "I move to suppress it as unreliable." Harris fumbled, citing police authority. Cole cut her off. "I will rule on suppression later." "Move on." Jacob sat, his mind racing. Cole was stalling, but the gallery's murmurs grew louder. The room felt alive, ready to tip. That afternoon, Jacob met Aisha at a park near the courthouse. Her activist group had dug into Connor's past. "We found something," she said, voice low. "Diaz filed a complaint against Connor last year for roughing up a suspect. It was buried, but it is real." Cole signed off on the cover-up. Jacob's breath caught. This was dynamite. If Diaz talked, it could link Connor's brutality to Cole's bias. Aisha warned. "Diaz is scared." Cops leaned on him hard. "You will need to push him in court." The revelation lit a fire. Jacob spent the night crafting questions for Diaz, cross-referencing Connor's report with the complaint Aisha found. Marla brought him coffee, her voice soft. "You are changing things. Jacob, people are talking, believing in Floyd, but Connor's crew is watching you." Jacob nodded, his jaw tight. Let them watch. He was not just fighting for Floyd now. He was exposing a system that thrived on lies. The next day, Officer Diaz took the stand, his face pale, eyes avoiding Connor's glare. Jacob stood, notes steady in hand. "Officer Diaz, did you see Officer Connor strike my father on July 12, 2017? Diaz shifted. It was dark. Things moved fast. Jacob pressed, "You filed a complaint against Connor for excessive force last year, correct?" The gallery gasped. Harris shouted, "Objection. Relevance." Cole overruled, his face unreadable. "Answer the question," he said. Diaz swallowed. "Yeah, I filed it, but it was dropped." Jacob leaned in. "Dropped by who?" Diaz glanced at Connor, then muttered, "Higher-ups." Jacob's heart surged. A shift was happening. Diaz's testimony cracked open the truth. He admitted Connor had a pattern, targeting black drivers, faking reports. On Floyd's night, Diaz saw no drugs, no fight, just Connor's fists. Jacob asked, "Why stay silent?" Diaz's voice broke. "They said my job was on the line." Jacob let the words hang. The gallery erupted, reporters scribbling. Cole slammed his gavel, but the room was electric. Jacob glanced at Floyd, whose eyes shone with hope. Connor's face was stone, but his hands shook. Harris looked lost. Jacob pushed his final card. "Your Honor, Officer Diaz's testimony proves Connor's report is false. I renew my motion to suppress it and request a misconduct review of Connor's actions." Cole's jaw tightened. "I will rule tomorrow," he said. Court adjourned. The gavel fell, but the air hummed with change. Jacob had turned the tide. Outside, the courthouse steps swarmed with supporters. Free Floyd chants rose, and cameras followed Jacob. A reporter asked, "Are you scared?" Jacob thought of Floyd's bruises, Diaz's fear, Cole's stare. "I am not scared," he said. "I am angry." Aisha pulled him aside. "You did it, kid." Diaz broke their wall. "But Cole's not done. He will fight dirty tomorrow." Jacob nodded. "So will I." That night, Jacob sat with Marla, the TV replaying his courtroom moment. Social media buzzed with Free Floyd posts, and Justice Now planned a bigger rally. But danger loomed. Marla's phone pinged, an anonymous text warning Jacob to quit. At school, a teacher told him cops had asked about his routine. Jacob's chest tightened, but he thought of Diaz's words. Floyd's hope. The truth was out, and power was shifting. Connor and Cole were not gods anymore. They were men, and men could fall. As Jacob lay in bed, his notes spread out, he felt the fight's pulse. Tomorrow, Cole would rule on the video, the report, Connor's fate. The system was cracking, but it was not broken yet. Jacob was 15, relentless, and one step from victory. For Floyd, for justice, he would finish this. Jacob faced the Fulton County Courthouse. The August 2017 sun searing his skin, his thrift store suit, ironed tight, felt like a shield. Floyd's trial was today, and Atlanta pulsed with fury. Free Floyd signs packed the streets. News vans choked the curb. Jacob, 15, gripped his notes. Hard a drum, but mind a blade. A late-night call had hissed, "Stop or die." He shoved it aside. For Floyd, he would break the system. The courtroom was a furnace. Judge Cole loomed at the bench, white hair stark, eyes venomous. Connor, in a starched uniform, sat by Miss Harris, the prosecutor, his jaw tight. Floyd, in a borrowed gray suit, sat at the defendant's table, hands scarred but steady, eyes locked on Jacob with desperate faith. The gallery brimmed. Aisha with Justice Now activists, reporters, Darius, locals electrified by Free Floyd fever. The air snapped, ready to burn. Cole's gavel crashed. "Start now," he growled. Jacob rose, voice like steel. "Your Honor, the traffic camera footage and Officer Diaz's testimony prove Officer Connor lied. I move to dismiss all charges against my father. No drugs, no assault, just a racist cop's fists." Harris sprang up. "Objection. The state upholds the report's truth." Jacob snapped back. "Truth? Diaz exposed Connor's fake charges. The video shows my father begging, not fighting. You have nothing. Harris flinched. Cole's eyes slit. Careful, boy, he said. Move on. Jacob pressed. Relentless. Your Honor, I renew my motion to suppress Connor's report. It is a fraud, contradicted by video and Diaz's words. Harris shouted, Objection. The report is sworn police record. Jacob fired. Sworn? It is perjury. Connor claimant, my mute father shouted. Where is the proof? The gallery buzzed. Cole banged his gavel. Enough. I admit the footage and suppress the report. But prove your case. Miss Harris. The crowd gasped. Jacob's blood surged. He had cracked Cole's wall. Harris called Connor to the stand, her voice shaky. Connor swore in, eyes cold but hands twitching. Harris asked, What happened on July 12th? Connor lied, voice slick. Floyd swung at me, hid drugs, resisted. Jacob leapt. Objection. Perjury. The video shows my father's hands up. No drugs. Diaz saw it too. Harris stammered. Cole snarled. Sustained. Answer carefully. Officer. Connor glared, but Jacob smelled fear. Jacob cross-examined, his questions a storm. Officer Connor, you said my father hit you. Show the bruise. Connor faltered. It faded. Jacob struck. You wrote he threatened you. He is mute. Explain. Connor's face twisted. I meant gestures. Jacob held up Aisha's document. This 2016 complaint says you beat a black man, buried by this court. Same lie here? Connor roared. You are a kid. You know nothing. Jacob stayed calm. I know you targeted my father for his skin. The gallery erupted. Cole slammed his gavel. Order. One more outburst. Connor, you are done. Harris, rattled, called a witness. Officer Tate, Connor's friend. Tate claimed Floyd resisted, seemed high. Jacob stood. Objection. Hearsay. Tate was not at the stop. Diaz was, and he saw no drugs. Harris fumbled. Cole's face reddened. Sustained. Tate, step down, bow. The crowd cheered. Jacob pushed. Your Honor, why, Tate's lie proves Connor's crew is desperate. Dismiss this case now. Cole snapped. Sit down, boy. But his voice shook. Jacob sat. Victory close. Harris tried again, calling a lab tech to claim drugs were found. Jacob rose. Voice lethal. Objection. Chain of custody. No drugs appear in the video, and the police log shows no lab submission until days later. Planted evidence. The tech froze. Harris collapsed. Cole's gavel hit. Sustained. No drug evidence admitted. The gallery roared. Connor's eyes darted to the exit. Jacob felt the room tilt. He was winning. Jacob's defense was a blade. He recalled Diaz, now fearless. Diaz repeated, Connor beat Floyd, faked the report, targeted black men. Jacob played the traffic video, Floyd's surrender stark on the screen. He called Reggie, the store clerk, who, inspired by Free Floyd rallies, testified, saw Connor slam Floyd. No drugs, no fight. Jacob faced the jury. My father is a man, not a criminal. This court tried to bury him, but we stand. The crowd wept, clapped. Cole's face was ash, his power slipping. Closing arguments burned. Harris mumbled about law and duty. Her voice lost. Jacob stood, eyes blazing. This is not law. It is hate. Connor lied. Cole hid it, and my father suffered. You saw the truth. Free him. He stared at Cole. Do justice, or we will. The gallery chanted Free Floyd. Cole's gavel could not stop them. He adjourned, face grim, to deliberate. 2 hours later, Cole returned. Jacob held Floyd's hand, Marla trembling beside them. Cole's voice was ice. The evidence is clear. All charges against Floyd Wilson are dismissed. He is free. The room exploded. Jacob hugged Floyd. Their tears won. Marla clutched them, sobbing. Connor bolted, face gray. Harris sank on. Broken, Jacob whispered to Floyd, "We did it. Dad." Outside, reporters mobbed Jacob. He faced them, voice iron. Connor must face trial. This system must burn clean. Free Floyd is for everyone wronged. The crowd roared, signs waving. Aisha hugged him. "You broke them." Jacob. That night, news hit. Atlanta PD charged Connor with perjury and brutality. Diaz set to testify. Free Floyd post became Justice Now calls online. Cole's end was swift. A newspaper ran Aisha's proof. Cole buried Connor's crimes. Protests surged, and Cole resigned, claiming age. Jacob knew better. A kid had toppled him. At school, Darius grinned. "You are a king. Man." Ms. Thompson nodded. "You rewrote the rules." Jacob smiled, but his fight was not done. On their stoop, Jacob and Floyd sat, city lights alive. Floyd signed, "You are my hero." Jacob signed, "You are mine." Marla laughed, "Free at last. You saved us." Jacob. He looked up, scars deep but spirit whole. He was 15, a voice for the silenced, a fire that changed Atlanta. Months later, Connor's trial began. His badge gone, Jacob and Floyd watched, united. Justice Now grew, and a law school sent Jacob a scholarship note. The system bent, not broken, but Jacob's spark lit a blaze. For Floyd, for all, he had won. Jacob's courage exposed injustice, saving his father and humbling a corrupt system. This dramatic fight against hate will leave you inspired. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, and comment to join the conversation. Share your thoughts on Jacob's victory.